Hi guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to make this Paisley braid bracelet, and we're making it completely using the hook. TutorialsByA originally designed this bracelet on the loom, and I'm going to put a link in the description to her channel if you want to make it on the loom. This bracelet is really easy to make, but if you're confused, I would recommend you watching it first before doing it. You're just repeating the same pattern over and over again. So let's get started. Let's start with the pink. We're going to take a single pink and loop it once on the hook to create the cap band. Taking a single yellow, your next color, and pulling the two loops off of a hook and onto that single yellow band and getting the other side onto a hook. So that's what yours should look like, and I'm going to label this loop A and this loop B. So loop B will be next to the end of our hook. Our next color, I'm taking a single band and we're going to put it on loop B. So getting our third color onto our hook, grabbing loop B, getting it onto that single band, and placing it onto our hook. And now we have 3 loops on the hook. Taking our next color and pulling all 3 loops off of our hook and onto that single band. And now we're going to place the next band on loop A, which is this side of our 2 loops, and getting loop B onto our finger. And I'm using my ring finger. So that's what your bracelet should look like at this point. Our next band, we're going to connect it to loop A. So we're going to alternate connecting bands to A and then to B, to A, to B, repeating the same pattern. So pulling loop A off of the hook and onto that single band, and getting the other side onto a hook, and then pulling loop B off of a finger and onto a hook. So that's your bracelet, and that's what it should look like. In our next band, we're going to take all 3 loops off of the hook and onto that single band. So that's what yours should look like, and attach both loops onto a hook. And now we're going to add the next band onto loop B. So that's a pattern. I'll repeat it a few more times with you. So we're going to take our next color, mine is pink now, and it's going to go on loop B, getting loop B off of the hook and onto the single band, leaving us with 3 loops. Going to our next color and pulling all 3 loops off the hook. And now we're going to attach loop B onto our finger because we want to attach the next band onto loop A. My next band, getting the loop onto a hook, taking loop A off of the hook and onto that single band, and getting the loops onto a hook, taking loop B off of my finger and onto our hook. So there's our bracelet, and we always end up with 3 loops before we add the next one. So we always have 3, then 2, then 3, then 2, and adding the loops. So our next color, taking all 3 loops off of the hook, and since we added onto loop A last time, we're going to add to loop B this time. So getting both loops onto our hook, taking our next color, and we're going to put it on loop B. So if you're confused, you can see that the last time we put it on this side, loop A, and loop A has the inside smaller loop on the bracelet. So this time we're going to put it on loop B, pulling loop B off of the front of the hook onto that single band, and getting the 3 loops on a hook. Our next color, we're taking all 3 bands off of our hook and putting loop B onto our finger. So once we put the band on loop B, the next band will put loop B on our finger. So that's what yours should look like. Going to my first color, grabbing the single band, pulling loop A onto that single band, getting it onto a hook, taking loop B off a finger and onto that hook. So as you can see, the bands are zigzag. So that's our pattern for the Paisley Braid Bracelet. Our next color, getting all 3 loops off of the hook and getting it onto the hook, because we're going to add our next color on loop B. Our next band, we're getting loop B onto that single band, leaving us with 3 loops. And I'm going to continue for a little bit, and if you're confused, watch the video, and if you're confused with my A-B label, then ignore it and just watch the video and just repeating the same pattern, because it's just the same pattern over and over again. You're putting your band on one end of the loop and getting it onto your hook, and you want to end up with 3 loops on the hook before you add your next band, and you want to alternate where you're putting the new bands onto your bracelet. So last time we put it on this side of the loop, and this time we're going to put on this side of the loop. Getting our next band and pulling that loop onto the new single band and getting the 3 loops onto our hook. Now I'm getting it onto this side of the loop. So pulling that loop onto the new single band, getting it onto our hook, and getting the loops onto our hook. We always end up with 3 loops before we grab a new band, and you can continue till you get to your desired length. I want to finish up to my last blue, and we'll use a C-clip to tie it off. And you can end anywhere once you get the 2 loops onto your hook. So I'm going to end here. So that's my bracelet, and taking a C-clip we're just going to put the loops onto that C-clip. So that's what your bracelet should look like, and loop the other end onto the C-clip. So there's your bracelet. I hope you like it. Thanks for watching.